it's one of the important question in the interviews. Once your sales order is created, how will you go for import that invoice in AR model? So your order is already created, sales order. Let me just show you here from manage orders. What is the order number? So and so order number. And when we go to order number here, we can find the status is awaiting billing. Okay. Now what is the business unit? US1 business unit. How will you raise the invoice for this sales order? That's the question. So we need to run the process, nothing but a program called import auto invoice. Import auto invoice. That's the program we are supposed to execute. Go to navigator, tools menu, scheduled process. Schedule new process here. Now here we have to go for select the program name as import auto invoice. Import auto invoice is the program. Sometimes when we choose that here, it may show the error result as 0. Let's go for search. Search for the program. Import auto invoice. So what this program will do is, it takes for which business unit you would like to run the process. So we are going to work for the business unit called US1 business unit because our sales order is created in US1 business unit. Next, what is the transaction source? Transaction means our AR invoice transaction, like sales order transaction, where your sales order is created. Our order is created in Fusion application itself because you can export the orders from legacy systems also. Okay. So right now I'm selecting distributed order orchestration. Nothing but it's import invoices from DOO, from order management. And what is the date? Choose this. If at all we would like to choose the transaction type, we can choose. We can choose the transaction type if it is required. Otherwise, it takes default transaction type. Transaction type means AR module. In AR module, we'll be performing AR transaction type, transaction source, right? That. And if at all you would like to restrict this process only for a particular customer, then we can choose this from customer name as well as to customer name. Okay. So that the process will pick the orders which are raised only for this particular customer. You can also restrict based on the customer account, and you can go for based on the date also, accounting date, shipping date, from transaction number to transaction number. If you know the sales order number, you can restrict. So we know our sales order number. I am going to filter only this information. Only for this sales order, I would like to generate the invoice number. I would like to generate the invoice number. So I don't want to search for other orders. Okay. Now let's go for submit. These are input parameters they'll ask in the interview point of view while running this auto invoice import program. What are the mandatory parameters? Business unit, transaction source, due default date for creation of the invoice. And if required, we can pass either sales order number or date or accounting dates, customer details can be passed. Otherwise, we can directly go for submit.
Sir, can transaction source be the same for all the business units?
Yes, yes. Transaction source is same for all the business units. Because the meaning of transaction source, transaction means your sales order. Source means where exactly this order is created, from where this order is created. So for any business unit, if you are working in this Fusion application, order will be created from order management. There, that we call it as DOO, distributed order orchestration. Distributed order orchestration. Now this is the process we have submitted, and this is running right now. Make sure that the process is completed successfully. Import auto invoice program completed successfully. It means system created that invoice for your sales order. In case if any errors are there, we can find those errors information here. Execution report. Execution report. If we have any errors, we can find here. Execution report. Republish. Go to actions. I would like to view the output in HTML format. Click on this. System will open another window here. It shows what are the input parameters we have passed for this auto invoice import program. And system is clearly telling that one invoice is created successfully. Number of lines are 3. 3 lines has been generated, and this is the amount. If there are any invoices are rejected lines by currency, lines with errors by currency, we can find here. So at this point of time, now it is success. But we do not have the invoice number here. We don't have transaction number here. Okay. Now we are going to verify the invoice is created or not. Make sure that the user is having the access to receivables roles. Go to receivables, billing. You might have created the invoices in receivables directly by selecting create transaction and all. But right now, the invoice is created already for the sales order and it's been imported into the AR model. Now I want to search. Go to manage transactions. And here we have to enter the transaction number if you know invoice number. If you do not have an idea, let's search with the transaction source because any of this field we have to enter. What is the transaction source? Distributed order orchestration. That is the transaction source. And reference number is nothing but your sales order number. If you know the transaction date, you can search. If you know the customer name also, you can search. Not a problem. Now this input parameters are sufficient. Now system is showing that this is the transaction number. Means invoice number. So AR invoice is created successfully for the sales order. Okay, and click this button, show more. We will find cross reference, nothing but our sales order number. Transaction number is nothing but our invoice number. What is the transaction source? Distributed order orchestration, nothing but DOO. So your order has been imported from order management. Who is the customer? Business world. Billing to, ship to, sold to. For the same customer, we sold the goods. For this location, we raised the bill also for the same location. And we can find what are the items ordered, how many items ordered, what is the unit price, then tax information. If there are any freight charges, can be find here it is. Okay. So this is how the auto invoice program will work. It's a standard question. So when we say we are a finance consultant, obviously this is expected in the interview point of view, saying that, can you tell me how will you import the invoice in AR module? Or generally order to cash cycle they will expect. That's a standard question also. What is the order to cash cycle? So first we'll create sales order in order management module. Once the order is created, when we'll book the order, nothing but confirmation. Then we need to release the goods from the warehouse in inventory module. And we need to confirm that all the goods has been released from the warehouse for shipping. Then we have to ship the goods to customer. So once we ship the goods to customer, then we need to raise the invoice in AR module. For that, we'll run the program called auto invoice import program. Once we run this auto invoice import, then system will create the invoice for the sales order, whatever we have selected. And then we'll go for receive the amount from the customer and transfer accounts to GL. So we'll create accounting transactions here. We can view the accounts here. Now the order is, invoice number is this, status is complete. Let's go for receipt creation. Receivables, accounts receivables. Receipt creation, both transaction accounts we have to transfer to GL as well as receipt account also we have to transfer to the GL. Create receipt. Choose your business unit, which method you are going to follow. Is it direct receiving the amount from the customer to bank account or deposit? No remittance, nothing but direct cash. Receipt number, how much amount? Amount is 1,362.50. No problem. If you have some balance, you can keep it on account. Let's say $1,400 you are collecting from the customer. And let's go for apply manually on the invoice. We received $1,400 from the customer and still unapplied amount is 37.50. There are two options here. Either we can keep this amount on customer account and apply for the next invoice. This is one method. The second one is you can go for refund. You can refund this amount to customer. Third one also is there. What is that? You can write off it. It means you can close that. Customer says that, okay, no problem. Let's close this. It's a small amount. I don't need to worry about it. Maybe positive or negative. Both the amounts can be done. How we have to go for that? Actions menu. More. There is option. Issue refund. Create write-off. And create on account application. You can keep this amount on account. Okay. Application account. So I'm going to keep this here because customer is telling that keep this amount with you only, apply for the next invoice. For example, you have got credit card bill, $1,300, but you paid $1,400. $100 they'll keep as it is and they'll apply for the next cycle, means next period. Next month that $100 will be applied. It means $100 will be with company only, but that will not be a write-off. That will not be refunded to customer. That will be applied to the next invoice. Okay. So that's what we call it as on account. Overpayment as done by the customer. So that will be applied to the next invoice. That is what we call it as an account. So total three options will come. So now amount is on account, not on applied. Okay, so one is refund, another one is write-off, another one is on account. Three different options we have here. Then go for save the receipt and then create accounting transactions. And we can find accounts here. And then go for transfer this accounts and other options here. Okay. So this is about the important questions point of view order to cash cycle as well as the auto invoice program parameters what are input this. So if you are good to go, this sales order creation, sales order booking, pick release, pick confirm. Theoretically also you can learn because as a finance consultant we don't require much, but if at all you are looking out for order to cash cycle in depth. For example, I want to go with a new item. Okay. And I would like to see the complete inventory roles, order management roles also. I prepared 3 videos for order to cash cycle here. You can search in YouTube, RTL online training, order to cash cycle. You can find order to cash cycle part 1, then part 2, then part 3. So here what I have done is I have taken completely new user and then I went with our inventory. Generally for finance consultant, it's not required, but if you have time, just go through it. Okay, just go through and you can go through for it. Order to cash cycle, this. Okay, thank you. Yes, guys, any doubts here, please? This is order to cash cycle, how we have generated, and we have covered one more is on account. You can keep the amount with the customer account only in account itself as a balance. It will apply for the next, it will be applied for the next invoice. Okay, thank you. Let's see you tomorrow.